Welcome, Vault Dwellers. We're back at my test lab at Electrical Island, where I have been doing a series of tutorials on logic gates. Now, this is not a completed settlement by any means. It's just where I've been doing some little tutorials on how to use logic gates, and the goal of each tutorial was to show how to use a single logic gate in isolation in several different ways. So there's a lot of ideas on how to do things for settlements here, but it is not a completed settlement. Of course, I've got plenty of those and use a lot of these ideas in action on my channel, and if you're interested in those, check them out. So today we are going to take a look at the XOR logic gate. And at first glance, this really does the same thing as the NOT AND gate, at least if you only have two inputs. Now, in the real world, logic gates generally have two inputs, but in Fallout we can do more. Let's demonstrate how these work. So right now, XOR says that if exactly one input is hot, the output will be hot. And NOT AND says if anything less than all inputs are hot, the output will be hot. So with only two inputs, if one input is hot, the output on both XOR and NOT AND will be live. So you can see that both of those have turned on because they each have one of these switches hooked up. Now, if we turn on the second switch, you can see that they both turn off, and that's because XOR has more than one live input and NOT AND has all inputs live. So at first glance, these are equivalent, but if we get into build mode and start adding some additional switches and inputs to these things, we'll show how the XOR gate actually inverts the logic of the inputs. Now we can use all kinds of things. I've just used two wall switches here, but we can also use pressure plates or the electric eye switches that we got in the Contraptions DLC, Wasteland Workshop DLC. We can use decontamination arches as switches. We can use sirens. If we're using mods, we can even use rain detectors or clock switches to set up all kinds of very complex sets of rules for when our output is hot. For example, in my video at Grey Garden, I had a series of turrets that I wanted to be on when it was after dark or when it was raining, and I used some XOR gates to set that up. Now we can also use a pressure plate here, so I've got this decontamination arch, and let's get a pressure plate just so that we can kind of show some different inputs. I think that pressure plate lives here. Yes. So I'm going to hook the input power to there, and I'm going to put some power on that pressure plate, and I'm going to hook the decontamination arch to both of the logic gates and the pressure plate to both of these logic gates. Hopefully this amount of wiring is still fairly easy to follow. We've got 4 inputs on each of these logic gates, and for XOR, if any one input is live, the output is live, but any more than one and the output turns off. And in fact, we can see that right now, where the output of the XOR is off. whereas not and says that anything less than all of the inputs, the output will be live. And we can see here we have 4 inputs and the output's live. So let's look at how these kind of work. Let's go ahead and reset everything, and I'll go ahead and step on this pressure plate, and because the XOR has 1 input and the non-AND has less than all, they're both hot. But if I add one of these switches, now XOR has 2 hot inputs, and so the output is turned off, whereas not AND still has less than all of the inputs and are hot, and so the output. So if we want to turn not AND off, we hit that switch to see it's still on, and we turn the decontamination arch on, and now not AND is off. And if I step off this pressure plate, now one of the inputs on not AND has gone low, turned off, and the output of not AND has turned on. Oops, I actually did not want to decontaminate myself. I get an intelligence boost by having a high level of radiation. Anyway, so what can we do with this? Well, because XOR inverts logic, it means that we can use it to turn things on when other things turn off. And I've got a little demonstration over here on how we can do something practical with that XOR gate. You may remember from my not AND gate tutorial, I set up this little bunker here that is just a demonstrator. It's how did you get in here? Weird. These doors have not been open. I have no idea how that settler got in there, and that is very annoying that she is there. But nevertheless, so we've got these doors set up using non-AND gates, and we're pretending that this is a much, much larger bunker with multiple entrances. And, well, I've got this power armor station that I think would look pretty cool if it turned on when the doors were closed so that I could see it through this window here. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use my XOR gate. Alright, now I have accidentally used door locks where I actually wanted to use some power conduits. So let's clear those out. Now I've already got some conduits set up here to go to the back of my power armor display. So when I hook power up to this, the display turns on. In fact, we'll skip it. So what are we going to do with our XOR gate so that the power armor station is on whenever the doors are closed? Let's go ahead and get our XOR gate, and that, there we go. There we are, one XOR gate, and I'm going to hook the output to my power armor station, and then I'm going to get some conduits here. And basically I'm setting these up so that when the door to my left is open, that conduit will be live, and when the door to my right is open, this conduit will be live. And we can hook both of these to the input of the XOR gate. Now as it stands right now, if either door is open, one input will be live and the power armor station light would turn on. But since I would like it to turn on when the doors are shut, I'm going to take this final input and I am going to hook it straight to some power. And get back inside here, and you can see already that the light is on because we have one live input and the other two inputs are dead. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add a manual override. I already set up this switch earlier and hooked it up to some power. So now we can do all kinds of neat things in here. If I want to have a manual override and have that light turn off no matter what, I can turn this switch on, and no matter what I do with those doors, the light on the power armor station is off. If I want to disable my manual override, I turn the switch off, and now whenever the doors are open, the power armor station automatically turns off. So we have taken something that when it's turned off, it turns something else on. And you can kind of, this will probably be easier to see at night, but it's going to be maybe a little hard to see. Oh, I may need to take a stim pack here. Sorry if my character's heartbeat has been audible. Anyway, so you can kind of see that through the door that light is on, and if I open either door, the light turns off. If I had set this up with a not and gate, the only way to turn the light off would be to open both doors. So there we go. That is what an XOR gate does. It is very handy for setting up manual overrides to things like if you've got some rain detectors or clock switches or something like that, and I have shown some various applications of manual overrides. If you want to take a look at one, maybe take a look at the epilogue video for my Starlight Settlement Challenge. There was a manual override, actually a few of them demonstrated in that. So there we go. That is the end of the Logic Gates tutorial series. Now what we're going to start looking at next in our Saturday series is how to chain some different logic gates together and how to use logic gates as diodes. Now, as of right now, when I record this on the 1st of July, the Fallout 76 beta has not started yet. Once that beta starts, I will probably suspend this series, at least for a little while, to determine whether or not that game is going to hold my attention or if I'm going to keep building in Fallout 4. So we'll have to see how that plays out. If you liked this video and you found the information useful, please hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, please tell me why in the comments so that I can try and do better for you next time. Until next time, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.